So we're here with Geordie Martinez, and we're talking about everything Python. So I kind of want to dive a little bit into some in general, the scripting language of Python and what it takes to learn it, right?
Okay.
So do you think that anybody can learn Python? I've had experiences where there is definitely the mind that is like a technical mind, and there is the mind that is an artistic mind, right?
hmm
So do you believe that anybody can learn a programming language like Python?
That's a tough one. I would say, I would say yes. I'm going to default to yes because it's a language, and I believe it's firing the same language techniques that you would use to assemble a sentence. You would use that same part of your brain to assemble a block of code. I want this to do this, like you're assembling predicates and verbs, etc. So I would say that and they have a lot of kids learning this now. Like you're actually in elementary school, they're actually teaching Python now.
Wow.
Some kids at some schools, they're actually using it as like you can take Spanish or you can take a programming language like Python.
Oh.
So and I think it's because educators are realizing that it's going to become a valid part of your education. Knowing a language, not you don't have to know 5 or 3 or be a CS degree, but being able to like look at some code and know what a for loop is, and that happens in every language. So I think if people want to learn it, you have to have the desire. I think that you have to have a desire to learn this language or any language.
Mm-hmm.
It could be any language, even HTML. I mean, if you just learned HTML, you're taking baby steps into some kind of markup language, but it's a language.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I think everybody that's taken my class so far has learned something, but I would love to have like a cross section of people that tell me they can't learn. I would like to take one of those on and just see if I could try and teach them something.
Okay, so maybe the next interview that we can do, because I have a person that it might be a good candidate for this experiment.
Yeah.
Next interview we do something like this, and then I have this subject in front of you, and you have to teach him like the very, very basics of Python and see if you understand.
Yeah, I'll take that challenge.
And that's not my mom. The subject is not my mom.
Yeah, it has to be somebody who's not just going to throw their arms up like my mom, like.
Exactly.
I had a hard enough time teaching her the iPhone, so.
Oh man. All right.
But she learned, and now she texts 50 times an hour. So.
Wow, that's great. So what do you think? There's definitely good coders, there's bad coders.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what makes a coder great?
I'm going to say this because it's my number one gripe about Pythonistas.
Okay.
Making your code readable, and some code is designed to be obscured, sure, like obfuscated, but some people will put a list comprehension wherever they possibly can. They will put lambdas all over the place, and that just tends to gum up the works for somebody trying to see the readability of your code.
Mm-hmm.
I personally hate lambdas. I would rather see a really small function defined somewhere and have you run that instead of some like anonymous function like a lambda. So my biggest pet peeve about coders is them trying to impress people with their code, or like on a code review with how amazing they are with the latest and greatest Python syntax technology. Or I think you should always code your code to the simplest terms. Just keep it simple. That because honestly, like people are going to pick up your code. I would love to say that I'm going to own all my code at ILM for the next 5-10 years, but I'm going to have to pass some of that off to someone. And I have to do it. Please take a look at this. And I hope to God they're not cursing me, like, what the heck?
Yep.
So readability is my number one thing I would say that makes a good coder. I've seen some great coders who just do not care. There's no comments in there. They just jam everything together and just intentionally try and like make it hard for people because they want people to be impressed with their code.
Okay, I see.
Bad attitude, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that
Yeah.
one. So when people are starting to learn at first, when they learn Python, what do you see that people struggle the most with Python, when they're starting?
One thing is scope, learning where a variable is available and when it is not available, and how
Yeah.
it can, and by scope I mean like the nest. Like if I had a function within a function within a function, and then that was in a module, and I declared a variable at any one of those locations,
Mm-hmm.
it was all the version X, and I would like to. It's hard for students to understand what the value of X is if you say print X at any given position in there, because they have to kind of understand the idea of a nested scope. Like everything in a function is locked into that little function. Nobody can see in to that
Mm-hmm.
function. That function has its own variables, and when it gets done running, it gets garbage collected, right? Like
Yep.
that function.
Mm-hmm.
Once that function is no longer needed, or you close out of the module, whatever, all the memory gets cleared out every time you run that function. Those variables get resolved. So understanding scope is hard. There's all these little quizzes that you can see online where test your knowledge of Python scope.
Mm.
And it's kind of cool because there'll be just something like x is equal to this, and then they'll do a function where they redefine x, and now what is the value of x?
I see.
And you have to think, oh, which x are we talking about? The one in the function or here? Because there's two different
Yeah.
variables, even though they're both assigned to x. They're different
Yeah.
worlds. Yeah. So understanding that.
So you see that as one of the most okay.
Yeah, and sometimes I like to try to explain it with DAG nodes in like Maya.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have cube 1 in this joint, but you can also have cube 1 in this joint. If I say select cube 1 and it gives you an error, like because it says doesn't exist or there are too many cube 1s.
Yep. Yep.
That same visual demonstration is a good way to explain like nested variables.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
you'll say like select X. If there's only one of X and it's way up here, it'll find it. Right?
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's a nice little visual behavior of Maya.
Yeah, that is nice. I never thought about that actually. That's cool. So people there are some people that are self-taught. And they try to pick up a book and try to read it and stuff.
Yep.
But what do you think? Like, a lot of times, you learn a language. You're learning Python, for example, and you learn the basics, and then you do some scripts, and then you get to a point where you kind of reach a little bit, you plateau a little bit.
Yeah.
So how do you think people can they can get out of that plateau? They can always improve their Python skills.
The quickest way is to create little projects for yourself. So if you're interested in learning PyQt and all the ins and outs of signals and slots and all that stuff, make a little UI. Make a little UI that does something, and just set out to do it. And do the drudge. You got to walk through the mud. You got to create the errors. You got to be like, why is this happening? You got to search on the internet and look for why this exception is happening on this widget. Oh, because it's no longer defined or it's fallen out of scope. And like, what the heck does that mean? And you have to go through that in order to improve. You can't just read a book and say, oh, I know it now. Because then when it actually comes time for you to actually implement it, you have no idea how to walk the traceback or walk back or Google Stack Exchange for like, what is happening right here?
Got it.
Little projects, and all the time there's always people posting the results of their little projects on like Reddit. So, like the Reddit Python forum, somebody's like, oh, check out this cool little thing I did that parses, like the one I was looking at yesterday was great. It was, this guy went to winespectator.com. He parsed all of the descriptions of wines to create a fake wine rater. So you could just enter anything and it would take a chunk of anybody's description to describe wine. So you could fake out people that wine, right?
Wow, that's
so he has like a fake wine description. And he used it as an example to parsing pages with beautiful soup, that Python module, using JSON to store his library of descriptions. And then later he could use that to, move it to areas of France or locations or geography. But it was just a quick example, and like he posted some of his funniest descriptions of wine, that he generated with his little tool and some of the most believable ones. And
Huh.
it's actually pretty cool.
That is cool.
So his next project is to incorporate some kind of fuzzy logic or AI to determine whether the description of meat goes with blackberry, right? No, it wouldn't, right? You would never say something is tastes meaty and blackberry.
Yeah, totally.
Licorice and something else. So he says he's going to try and figure that out next, but just as an experiment, just as an example. And I thought that's a great teaching mechanism, right? Like, have all your students go to Wine Spectator and make a fake wine describer.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a neat little exercise, and little tiny exercises at first that build on each other, little building blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like you're in a rut, I would say, like I felt like I really wanted to know more about data science for a while, and I'm like, okay, I'm dumb about data science, but I know Python a little bit. Where can I start? Do they even use Python in data science? Turns out they do, and there's some guy that wrote a book about it. I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, look, he's in this podcast. I'm just going to listen to him talk for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to him, and I would go to the Talk Python to Me. Like, I don't know if you've been there or not. This is a really cool Talk Python to Me. Talk Python FM, right? So this guy's got a bunch of episodes, and he talks to different people that are in different worlds. Huh. So game theory, that's a great one. Building all these really cool super-powered apps. He's got like AIs, Grumpy Python, running Python on Go, like mixing it with Go. And this guy's got like 100 episodes of stuff in here, and each one's like an hour long, and they're all different uses of Python in different worlds.
But does he? I mean, is he a really genius that he knows all of this, or
No. The host just brings in all of these people.
Oh, okay.
So there's all these people in the world that like this guy Philip Gua, I think is Go. Uh-huh. He talks about the internals of building Python from C on the way up, and you're just like, oh, I had no idea. 3D printing with Python, using this tool. There's like MicroPython is in here, like running Python on little tiny chips. So whatever your interest is, you can kind of find a way to go to that. So if you're into robotics, there's a book for that with Python. If you're into web programming, there's something. And if it's going to, like Eve Online, there's even one in here like Python at Netflix, which is very interesting.
Oh, really?
Python at Netflix, yeah.
I got to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's good when you're just driving in the car, and you're bored. You're just like, I'm going to learn a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I do, actually.
This one that I listened to this week is the game AI one, the game theory.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool because these guys write little algorithms in this thing called Axelrod, and so they wrote a whole API for battles. Like you can, and are you familiar with the prisoner's dilemma?
No, I don't think so.
So the prisoner's dilemma is this: like you and your friend are criminals. You get caught by the police, and then what are the chances that this person's going to rat out on you, right? So there's all these little methods, like there's these little patterns that exist in this kind of game, this little game mechanism. You can write little AIs to try and determine what the other person's going to do. Are they going to rat you out? Are they going to, throw you to the wolves? Or are they going to hold their secret, right? And it goes in rounds, and they have these like tournaments. They have these entire tournaments in this, and it's all written in this Python. So you can actually like compete. You can write your own little game AI to see if you're going to be win these tournaments with the most wins, right?
That's cool.
It's pretty cool. I mean, there's all these little things you can do with Python that it's pretty sweet. So
yeah.
MicroPython's another one. I love that. That's a nice little chip that runs Python directly on the board.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and it's super cool, and that's Python 3. So if you're interested in, running Python 3, and then here's like an example. So you would just import it here and run it, and it would flash your little LED. Right? So it's better than Arduino. It's. I mean, if you know Python, then you know how to run this guy. So you can activate each one of these or check the voltage on each one of these to check your sensors, and they have a whole list of like sensors. There's a really cool video on this guy, and these things are like $30.
So there is different sensors that do different things as well?
Yeah, like there's light sensors, there's motion sensors, there's heat sensors.
Okay, I'm going to check this
there's all
out.
kinds of different detectors, like little switches.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely check this out.
I
found something similar, but it was more for like I don't remember what it's called, but it was like more for kids. Like I went to
Oh, like Bitsbox?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Bitsbox. Yeah, that one's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like for 8-year-olds and up. But yeah, I
Yep.
mean, this one, I was going to use it to make a little automatic garage door closer. Like if somebody accidentally left the garage door, that happened. We got our bike stolen and
Mm.
twice, and we got another trailer stolen. And I was like, one of my people in my building keeps leaving the garage door open. I was going to make a little timer that if the switch was on, it would start a little timer of like 20 minutes.
I see.
And if 15 minutes passes, it would activate the other switch. And I was just going to tape another little remote to it, right? So I have a little, let's see here if I can show you this. Like I have a little remote here that I was going to glue to it, and it would automatically shut it. I was going to program the whole thing in Python.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Python to rule the world.
One Python to rule them all. Cool. Let me do this real quick. Okay. So, one of the questions that I'm most curious of myself is, in your opinion, what is the most challenging aspect of Python? If you want to learn Python, right? Like, what is the most challenging aspect of it?
Not getting dissuaded when you see errors. Because it's like when my 6-year-old's doing something, and if errors happen, if like something happens or she can't figure something out, she just kind of gets frustrated and throws her arms up and just, I'm not going to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see people doing that with Python sometimes too. Like I've witnessed people, they'll get through like week 4 of but when we get to like object-oriented programming in week 5, they just kind of shut down because they've always thought that object-oriented programming is hard and difficult. They don't even realize that that's exactly what they've been doing the last 4 weeks.
I see.
Python, everything is an object.
Yeah.
Everything literally is an object. You have to prove it to them. You have to show them, and then you can create your own. And then that kind of dawns on them, like, wait, what? I can create my own? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can create your own and use it everywhere. Pass it around to functions. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I see people kind of shut down there, and they just kind of get frustrated because they miss a core concept. And when that happens, I kind of get frustrated at myself because I want to know what it is I missed. And that's like, it's a hard concept though.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a difficult concept. Yeah. So.
Okay.